versorging, in die latere stadium het ek gesê, tuisversorging plus hulp is dalk die oplossing, en dan, as dit kom by wanneer is die regte tyd, soos ek gesê het, nooit nie, maar iewers moet jy die besluit neem, gaan ons voortploeter soos ons voortploeter, of gaan ons professionele hulp soek, of ons te help met versorging. En daai professionele hulp is maar normaalweg, ek sê nie altyd nie, ek sê normaalweg, is dit, of dikwels, is dit maar in 'n versorgingsfasiliteit, want dit raak net vir die totaal en al onmoontlik om 24/7 na 'n persoon om te sien wat regtig moeilik is. Onthou, daar is demensieversorging en daar is demensieversorging. 'n minder moeilike dementiepasiënt is maklik om te versorg, want jy kan die basiese lewensbehoeftes aan voldoen. 'n Mens kan met, en ek wil nie vooruitloop wat Dr. Mariette gaan sê nie, maar mens kan met musiekterapie en met boekvoorlesings en gewone TLC, tender love and care, kan jy baie goeie versorging vir die rustige persoon gee. Maar ongelukkig is daar van ons dementiepasiënte wat nie so rustig is nie. En jy gaan definitief hulp moet kry, want by die huis kan jy hulle nie besig hou nie. As jy nie eens na jou eie badkamer toe kan gaan nie, en as jy nie kan gaan inkopies doen by die winkel nie, want jy kan hierdie persoon nie vir 'n minuut onder jou oë laat uitgaan nie, dan moet jy professionele hulp kry, en dan is dit dikwels nodig om hulle in 'n versorgingsfasiliteit te kry, waar daar dan nou professionele hulp gegee kan word. En ek gaan baie vinnig daaroor gaan om vir u te sê, wanneer jy by daai punt kom, wat is die goed waarna jy moet kyk? En die praktiese oorwegings waar jy moet kyk, is die toeganklikheid, is die plek naby jou. Jy weet, dit is vir ons, as versorgers, is dit baie moeilik, as die familie, die naaste familie in Standerton bly, maar hulle is in 'n versorgingsfasiliteit in Mosselbaai ingesit, omdat dit die enigste plek is wat plek gehad het en wat na die mense kan omsien. Dit is baie moeilik, want daai persoon, al het hy demensie, hy of sy, soek hulle geliefdes. Onthou, die demensiepersoon kan jou verwar met haar ma of sy ma, of met totaal en al iemand anders. Maar daai emosionele band tussen 'n ma en dogter, en daai emosionele band tussen 'n man en 'n vrou, kan jy nie breek nie. Hy's daar. Sy gaan haar man dalk iets anders noem, of hom vir iemand anders aansien. Maar sy gaan daai behoefte aan haar man nog steeds hê. En ons sien dit, want ons sien hoe ons inwoners verhoudings met mekaar aanknoop. En dis nie bedverhoudings nie. Dis companionship wat hulle soek, want daai emosionele band is daar. So hulle gaan jou herken, al kan hulle nie met jou naam uitspreek nie. So dis baie belangrik om daai kontak te bou. Finansiële vermoëns, die befondsing, die tipe registrasies wat die fasiliteite het, maak seker dat hulle die regte registrasies het, en mense asseblief, 'n groot waarskuwing van my kant af, bly weg by ongeregistreerde plekke. Want as daar 'n fout kom, as dit 'n plek geregistreer is, dan is daar ten minste ander mense by betrokke. 'n Ongeregistreerde plek is daar niemand by betrokke nie, is gewoonlik nie, soos die Engelsman sê, 'n one-man show, en waarheen gaan jy as jy 'n probleem het? So, kyk, het hulle kamers, het hulle woonstelle, het hulle huise, kyk hoe lyk hulle badkamers, en, jy mag deurstap. Kyk nou die emosionele faktore. Wat jou eerste indrukke? Is die personeel vriendelik? Hoe lyk die inwoners? Jy weet, ek het Woensdag het ek 'n besoeker gehad, en sy het deur die plek gestap, en sy sê vir my, sonder om nou ons 'n klop op die skouer te gee, Sy sê dit met 'n oop gemoed en met 'n rein hart. Sy kan sien die inwoners is gelukkig. Nou, ek het 'n ex-skoolloof vriend. Hy het altyd vir my gesê, hy het 700 gelukkige kinders in die skool en so 25 ongelukkige ouers. Nou, ek het 38 gelukkige inwoners en so 2 ongelukkige kinders, maar dit gebeur maar, dis normaal. Kyk na die veiligheid, kyk na die dienste wat gelewer word, kyk na die administratiewe, kyk wat is die reëls en regulasies van die plek, kyk hoe word kommunikasie gedoen, kyk wie doen die boeke. Julle mag vir 'n fasiliteit vra, deur wie word julle boeke gedoen. En as dit nie geauditeerde state is wat hulle vir jou kan wys wat deur 'n ouditeur afgeteken is nie, wees versigtig. Ek waarsku maar net. Kyk of hulle troeteldiervriendelik is en daar's baie goed waarna jy kan kyk. Kyk na hulle spyskaarte. Kyk na wat is hulle spesialiteitsvelde. Individuele sorgplanne, het hulle ontspanningsaktiwiteite, het hulle oefenprogramme. Doen hulle breinplastisiteit. Want ons werk met die breinmense. Dis die brein wat fout gaan wanneer daar demensie is. Dis nie die enkel wat fout gaan nie. Dis die brein wat fout gaan. Kyk of daar 'n huisdokter is wat die fasiliteit besoek. Jy weet self, dokters wil nie huisbesoeke doen nie. Maar 'n mens kan met hulle onderhandelingsproses ingaan en ons het huisdokters wat na ons fasiliteit toe kom en ons huisdokters. Kyk na apteekdienste. Kyk wat is die dienste wat gebied word privaat en provinsiale hospitale. Belangrik, holistiese benadering. Dis wat julle moet volg. Maak seker dat jy die regte diagnose kry. Besluit voor die tyd hoe jy hierdie proses gaan loop om hierdie ouetjie aan die gang te kry en aan die gang te hou. Want as hy nie aan die gang gehou gaan word nie, dan gaan jy ongelukkig 'n swaar tyd in jou lewe ingaan. Ons sal beskikbaar wees wanneer daar vraatyd is. So, Dr. Mariette, jy kan maar kom verder aangaan met jou aanbieding. Dit was vir my 'n voorreg om vir julle my kennis te deel. En as daar vrae is, ons sal dit tydens die vraag en antwoord sessie sal ons vir allerlei goed adresseer.
In our brain, we have lobes, and you all have heard about the lobes. Inside the lobes, they have a connection to the frontal lobe, which is the manager. This whole frontal lobe is your problem solving, so your decision making is happening, it's forward planning's happening there. Everything is here in the frontal lobe. If the frontal lobe has been damaged, it can't communicate with all the other lobes. It then misfunctions. So it goes to an incorrect lobe. And then you say to yourself, maar hoekom het ek dit gedoen? Dis nie ek nie. Or the family say, do you know she did that? She said that? My mom never used to do that. My dad never used to do that. That's because there is no brain mapping taking place between the lobes. But apart from the lobes, inside your brain, right in the middle, is what we call the midbrain. The midbrain has the hippocampus. And that's not talking about the hippies in our days, okay? It's got nothing to do with those hippies, all right? This is the hippocampus in your brain. Nothing to do with the hippies. Now, the hippocampus is a is a part in the brain that absorbs a space in the midbrain. Each part of your brain absorbs a space. Okay, so the hippocampus has a space within the midbrain. Make sense? Okay. In that, we have our planning, our long-term memory, and information gathering of objects and learning new things. That's basically what happens in the hippocampus. Now, if the hippocampus in the middle of the brain and the frontal lobes not talking to each other, we have neurological, we have psychiatric disorders, we have depression, we have anxiety, we have bipolar, we have schizophrenia. So when you find the people who have these extreme brain disorders, it's gone deep into the hippocampus. It's no longer just functioning in the lobes. Ek wil net gou 'n bietjie water kry. It's now taken it away from the lobes and put it into the hippocampus in the middle, right in the middle of the brain. Does that make sense? So any one of us could have our brain already dysfunctioning towards the midbrain due to age and things and traumas that we've gone through and isolation. Loneliness is the biggest thing when we get older. Loneliness is directly linked to the hippocampus. That's why it's important for us to do group things, to socialize, to have conversations, to meet with people, and so on. But if you are a person that has Lewy bodies or multiple dementia, and I'm telling you to socialize without doing an assessment, I could be sending that very person into a danger area. Like with my mom, I couldn't take her shopping anymore. I couldn't take her in to a place where there's a lot of people because she would see hundreds of people. She would be frightened. The noise was too much. All those trolleys were coming towards her. She would scream. She wouldn't. And we thought she was just being naughty. Okay. We have to be very specific with what we're dealing with. I'm going to show you a few activities here that we do, but I want you to please know that if you do not know what type of dementia your client, your mother, your family member, or whoever it may be has, you've got to be careful what activity you give them. Reason being, your brain does not know the difference between good brain cells and bad brain cells. It just knows it's got to grow brain cells. Oops. Here it starts. I keep feeding my brain negative things all the time. Ek hou nie van daai persoon nie. Weet daai persoon doen dit en ek hou nie van daai persoon nie. En het jy gesien daai kar is nou geel. Hoekom het daai kar nou geel geverf? En jy weet dis nou die mense is so lelik. Hoekom is die stoele nou grys en groen en dit is groen? Jy weet wat gaan nou eintlik hier so aan? Negative thinking sends you deeper and deeper into the midbrain, where the hippocampus is growing bigger and bigger, and you can't be yourself anymore. You lose yourself. Yes, like my julle lyk nou baie bekommerd. Ek weet julle kan hier so staan en kyk. It's like, dis wat ek doen, dis wat ek doen, dis wat ek doen. Dis hoe julle lyk. Neuroplasticity allocates activities and gives you information that will make you draw up a plan for yourself. Listen mooi, you will draw up a plan for yourself. You'll know whether you're a left brain person or a right brain person. You can go Google the brain and see what the left brain does and what the right brain does. See which side you lean to. Your brain is exactly the same on each side, except it leans slightly, like 20% more to the one side and 20% more to the other side. And I believe that is where God's true calling comes from, in that 20%. Where has He called us? Because a person that's doing maths won't be using exactly the brain cells that somebody does who journalizes and writes books. The slight leaning. Do you see the slight leaning? And you see? Maths, more a little bit to the left. Right brain, more creative. Can you listen? So your activities have to resemble what your strong points are within your very making. All right? Keep that for questions afterwards. Loneliness isolates you from yourself. Remember that. It sends you into the hippocampus area. It sends you into the midbrain. Please listen to me. Don't isolate yourselves. Dis pastor hier. Pastor, ek gaan nou iets sê, verskoon my. I think every church should have group functions in their church to stop people from isolating in their homes. Not just on Sundays, not just with functions that they have, the regular functions, but we know that on a Tuesday we're doing this, on a Wednesday we're doing this, on a Thursday we're doing every single day so that they could draw them out. The pastor should have a list at the back there where everybody signs in when they come. And then when he sees when somebody hasn't come for a week, he phones them and he says, hey, ek het gesien julle was die hele week nie hier so nie. Hoekom? Sorry, Pastor, here for your work. All right, so that is to do with the midbrain. It's one of the consequences of a form of dementia. It goes into the very midbrain. The hippocampus is also linked to the amygdala, which is a tiny little bubble. You can see it there, the amygdala. There's a nice picture there for you to see there. Can you see it? It's a tiny little round thing like that. The amygdala is where your memory and your recall and your understanding sits in the deepness. When you've isolated yourself, this is your problem area. When you've isolated yourself, your brain sends you into isolation, the spatal area, the dark, dingy area, which is the limbic system. Then all of a sudden you don't understand what people say. Ek kan nie eens verstaan wat hulle gesê het nie. Het jy, Herman? Nee, ek ook nie. Ek weet nie wat sê hulle nie. Wat is hulle probleem? You start losing understanding. And your temporal lobe sits in here. So the limbic lobe is right in the middle. Now I can't speak to the temporal lobe, and the temporal lobe can't communicate with the midbrain, because the limbic system is in chaos. Kan julle sien how dangerous it is if we don't keep moving? If we don't keep visiting, if we don't keep connecting, and when we get older, what do? We start withdrawing. That's the worst thing you can do. Want dan gaan jou brein in die midbrein in. En dan het jy 'n probleem. Then it's very, very difficult, even with activities, to draw you out of that. You don't want to go there. If you don't understand what people are saying, and you used to understand them, and all of a sudden now you don't understand them anymore, you better help yourself before you sink in there. Make sense? Right? Watch your thoughts. Oopsie. Oopsie daisy. Thoughts. Not somebody else's thoughts. Not somebody else's actions. Your own thoughts. Your own thoughts makes your brain either healthy or unhealthy. Jy kan nie meer sê, ja, maar dis my vrou. Ek is die hele tyd besig met haar. Sy gee my nie tyd vir myself nie. Jy weet, dis Herman. Dan wil hy dit hê, dan wil hy dat hê, dan wil hy dit. No. Those are your thoughts. You got to create harmony within yourself. Peace. Understanding of who you are as a person. When I was in Namibia, we did quite an interesting thing. I called it the envelope analysis. We took a square piece of paper, we folded the corners in. And in the center, we wrote, I am. And they had to write 3 points there of who they really think they are. I am. Then in each corner, the 4 corners, they had to write, what must I do to make sure that this I am, and I like the I must maintain. And if the I am that's in there that I don't want to be, what must these 4 corners now do to get me out of that person I don't want to be? Negative or positive? You do it yourselves. You don't need psychologists. You don't need me to come see you. Do the envelope. I am in the middle. Take your 4 corners, and what's stopping you from being that wonderful I am that socializes, that watches my thoughts, that eats well, that moves all the time, that I am. And if it's the other I am, los my uit, ek kyk my TV. Ja, maar jy's al daar van 9:00 af. Herman, is nou 3:00. That's not a I am. Maak dit sin? Okay. Who are you? Who are you meant to be? Why are you putting yourself into the midbrain? Julle maak dit vir julle self hard. Giving up on everything. Feeling unworthy. Negative, isolated. Cardiovascular disease develops problems. Ons gaan nou iets gou-gou doen. They've created now, and it's accepted as an Olympic sport, face slapping. Did you know this? Face slapping has become a registered Olympic sport. Kan jy dit nou glo? Alright. It's meant to be a neuroplasticity sport. Will you wake up in this? Almal van julle, lig iets op julle gesig. You waking up all the arteries in your face. Your face will start feeling warmer. Close your eyes and above your eyes. Below your eyes, on your nose, on your lips. Can you feel it warming up? And I've been told by the neuroscientists that we do this every day for 6 months, which will stay 25 forever. 25 forever, come on. Then we go to the vascular. Your vascular problem starts here in your neck. That's where the clot starts coming. Will dit gebeur? Every day we should be hitting patty. You also patty. And dan moet jy gelyk doen, which is very good for your speech. Jy moet dit nou saam met my doen. That helps your vocal cords. Alright? Face slapping, vocal cords, and vascular. Simple exercise. En as mense verby jou loop, en dan dink jy is 'n bietjie mal, dan steek jy jou tong uit. Weet julle dit? Kan julle dit probeer? Okay. Alright. So do all these little extra things that helps your brain stay awake. OCD is different to anxiety. Anxiety is different to isolation. Hate speech is different. Every part with Lewy bodies and with mixed dementia, they have all these in one person. Can you imagine that? It's like multi-personalities over and over and over and over. Can you imagine a person who's aware that they've got all this going on in their heads, and they have in the beginning? Hulle weet. Hulle weet dit. Nou kom ons daar en sê, kom ons gaan nou dorp toe, kom, wat ons julle skoene aantrek, jy het 2 verskillende skoene aan. My mom used to put tackies on and the other one's a sandal. Dit kan nie so gaan nie. So what do? You put more pressure on the person. Just change your shoes for heaven's sake. Why do you have to tell them? Just change your shoes. Mooie skoene aansit of iets. Don't argue with people with any form of dementia, please. I've gone in before. Don't argue with any person who's got any form of dementia. Their frontal lobe has been damaged. The problem solving cannot happen anymore. And if they've gone deep into the hypothalamus and into the hippocampus and into the midbrain, you've got no chance of having a decent conversation. So why even try? Because you know what? You haven't realized that it's about the patient. You're making it about yourself. Ek is nou moeg. Wanneer gaan mommy nou ophou om dit te doen? Ek kan dit nie meer vat nie. You're cruel. You're downright cruel if you do that. En weet julle wat nog? Do you know that your sensory lobe, it's about here? Do you know that they could be totally numbed and you could be in the next room and the door could be closed and you're talking about them and they hear every word? They hear every word you are saying about them. They are broken already. They have declined. Now they're hearing you discussing them next door with their best friend, with their husband or their wife. It all goes internal. How many times do you sit with the doctor and you've got your mom or your dad next to you and you say, yeah, but I do it and say do it. She should not or he should not be in that conversation in that room. When you are discussing somebody who has any form of Alzheimer's, they should not be in that room with you. They are hurting enough. They've lost all form of dignity. Now they have to hear their favorite person say all these horrible things about them. They don't understand no more. How would you like to be in their shoes? Nie lekker nie. When my dad passed away, 3 days later, I took Mom past the waiting room that they put him, and they have different waiting rooms where they put my dad. When we got to that door, she said, Pa, do it, Pa, do it. She knew he was in that room. How? Because in her state, she heard the carers, she heard the doctors, everybody else talking about it. And there she was. She had to deal with Dad's death on her own because she's got dementia. She's stupid. She knows nothing. Ek doen baie goed vandag. I can see I'm throwing a lot of guilt trips here. Hooray! Ons dink nie, maar ons weet nie. Ons weet nie hierdie goed nie. Maar vandag weet julle. Overstimulated. If the person is really not looking well that day, and you can see they're really struggling with something, don't force them. Don't force them. Give the ladies a manicure, give the men a pedicure, but do something else. Don't try and force an activity. Just love and compassion. Gentle talking, kind words. Tell them funny stories, whatever. But just forget your program for the day. When you're not feeling well as a normal person and somebody's trying to make you do something, how do you feel? I wish I would leave and go home. You weet? Now they're trapped in themselves. They can't tell you that. Treatment. Group activities. I'm not going to go through it in details because we're going to run out of time. Group activities. There's quite a few of you sitting around here. You could plan your own group activities. You can work with your pastor and his wife and put up group activities for special things that you can do. Group activities are better than one-on-ones if you have not had that person assessed. Remember, you could be overworking them, or you could be forcing them to do something where the brain cells are not even working. Now you're putting them under stress, so they go into anxiety, so they go into screaming, so they go into shouting, so they go into whatever they go into. So rather just, the last thing is always, and should be used first when you notice something is wrong, is love and compassion. Emotional switch, negative to positive, brain changes due to oxygen and blood flow. If a person has been lying in their bed all day long, there's not much oxygen flow there. There's not much blood flow going. All of us sitting like we are today for hours, there's not much happening there. Nee, kom jy moet nou aantrek, kom wat is jy uit die bed uitkry, kom wat ons nou gaan, kom wat ons nou loop. Ons gaan nou loop, kom. Get the oxygen, then I'm going to do simple exercises with you guys just when I'm finished here, just a few, how you can quickly get the blood flow going and the oxygen. The brain has to have oxygen. It has to have blood flow. It just can't have little spurts of it. It must be continuously having oxygen, continuously having blood flow. Socializing, conversation, sounds, frontal lobe, emotions, we spoke about that. Pleasure felt by sensory lobe. Achievement, happy, serotonin is released. Dopamine and serotonin will be released when somebody's happy. So normally the happier people are in a better state than somebody who's normally an angry person. Because the anger releases a protein that destroys the serotonin and destroys the dopamine. Het dit geweet? We are uniquely and wonderfully made. And now they're trying to introduce robots. Human robots. Did you hear what happened at the Ford factory about a month ago? You know, no human being touches a Ford car in the factory. It's all robots. The one robot decided it didn't like it anymore. And started bashing every, it was meant to put the handle things on the doors. And every car that came past, it bashed all the windows. That's a human robot. You know, I thought that was quite funny. Life and more enjoyment, that's your frontal lobe, your sensory lobe, your motor cortex and your temporal lobe are the two things that work together to give you peace and quietness. So you for your frontal lobe, say frontal lobe, gaan sê vir die temporal lobe, I want peace and quiet. Die twee werk saam. The hippocampus outputs white matter, memory awaken. Hippocampus will also give you the place of having good sleep at night. So if you've got an unhappy hippocampus, you're going to have a horrible night's sleep. All right? Mood disorders. When we have mood disorders, we have social skills problems. Or we have a drinking problem. Or we have an overeating or undereating problem. But social skills, withdrawing, has a problem behind it. Find out what your problem is when you start isolating yourself. What is the root cause there? Here are some rebuilding, rewiring the mind of Christ. The Bible talks about the mind of Christ from beginning to end. What I have noticed in all the frail care centers I've been to throughout the world, from America to Africa to Namibia, or wherever I've been, I just haven't been to Italy yet. The biggest thing with the mind of Christ and starting to lose our minds is that we start losing our relationship with God. How many frail care centers have you gone to? You go visit somebody, do you see a Bible? Do you take the time to pray for them? Do you remove evil spirits? Remember, when you bless somebody, the blessing can't be received until you've removed the evil spirit that's stopping it. So I bless you in the name of Jesus. Satan, remove you out of this space. Pastor, jy ken die storie. You can't replace if you don't remove. You can't replace if you don't remove. Our Father prayer even says, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Okay, I'm going to do a few games with you. These are in general, but remember, you have to first know what type of dementia the person's got. Got to know if they're left or right-brained. That's number one. You got to know if they're puzzle-orientated. That normally goes with creativity and with problem-solving. So if they're a person who's kind of 50-50, you can do puzzles with them. Lego building. Be careful of the small and the bigger Legos. Bible reading. Check the fonts. Knitting and crocheting, card games, Sudoku, word spelling games. There's so much. Miniature golf with plastic golf sticks, because they hit each other with the golf sticks, we found out. So make sure everything's plastic. There are very, very different activities depending on the person's brain. There is a picture for you of the left and the right. So for somebody who does not do neuroplasticity, if you can just determine if they're left or right brain, you're already 80% there, because that will help you a lot to allocate the correct activity. And did you know that the blue rays that's in a television screen and that's in our mobile screens, do you know why it's blue and not green or red or anything? Because that particular blue and that sparkle of that blue makes you an addict. You become addictive. So maybe what we should do then is go get these red screen covers that you put over it, over the screen, and close the blue off. So that color particularly is what keeps you glued to the television. Not that you really like the program, because how many times are you sitting in front of the television and you're sleeping anyway? Or you ask, wat het hulle nou gedoen? Wat kyk jy nie? Ek weet nie. All right, so that's that. And then there's just my information if you need that. Remember, you can never, ever make an opinion which could cost somebody their lives from a brain point of view by analyzing somebody from your own point of view. You have to do a proper analysis. You do an assessment first, and then you analyze the assessment. Only then do you give the outcome. It's not 100% correct, but it's 80% there. And that's a high figure. Hoe lyk ons nou? Lyk ons bietjie beter? Wil julle 'n bietjie oefeninge doen? Okay, kom. Come forward, take these beige chairs and move them down there, and everybody come to the front. Blood flow to the brain. Have I said enough? Isn't that amazing? That's why piano players. You hear either of them with hearing aids? No. Oh, yes, one. We got one here. He's not doing his fingers right. He's playing the wrong keys. He's playing the wrong keys. Okay? Look it up. Your arms are closer to your heart than your legs are. So if you want a healthy heart, you've got to learn to do more upper body exercise. Isn't that easy? Okay? Stretch it out as far as you can. Lift it up as far as you can. Up as high as you can. Up as high as and the blood to the brain. Where? Where? All right, now let's see if we work on the left and the right side of the brain. When the left and the right side of the brain work together, you are working in excellence. When are you working in excellence? Left and the right side of the brain is working together. So excellence in the brain. On the right hand, left ear. Back. Left hand, right ear. Back. Spit up. Spin up. Spin up. Spin up. Spin up good. What's the on slow? Okay, feet apart. Right hand, left hand to left. Right hand, left foot. Lift it up, put this hand in the hip. Left hand, right foot. Lift it up, put it in the hip. Spin up. Spin up. Spin up. Keep the sequence going. Keep the sequence. Keep the sequence. Excuse me, Ella. Okay. Right foot over left foot. Okay, and back. Left foot over right foot. Back. Faster, 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 faster. All we're doing is exercising opposite the blood to the head. Spin up, spin up, spin up. Okay, now here and after. Go front hand. Across, back, normal. 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 Who's working in excellence? Huh? Simple. Simple, simple. Last one. Run on the spot, we're running the comrade. Your spin up is what you'll have. Finish line is there. Let's go. Under. The spin up is what you'll have. The spin up is what you'll have. Spin up. Spin up. Spin up for us, please. Spin up. Spin up. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Use the spin up. Forward, spin up. I'll say, let's do the plasticity. Now we're all ready for the day.
Baie dankie. Het julle asem nou teruggekry al? Ek sien jy lê party ons linkerhande hier rond. Ek weet nie wat gebeur nie. Okay. Ons gaan 'n geleentheid gee vir 'n bietjie vrae en ons sal dat hulle dan die antwoorde vir ons gee. So as jy 'n vraag het oor enigiets waaroor ons gesels het, en miskien is daar iets wat ons nie oor gesels het nie, wat jy dalk 'n vraagie wil vra oor, dan vra ons net, steek net jou hand op. Hulle sal die mikrofoon vir jou bring sodat dat ons almal kan hoor wat die vraag is en ook die mense wat aanlyn is dat hulle dit kan hoor en dan kan ons hulle geleentheid gee om dan daai vragies te beantwoord. So is daar enigiemand wat 'n vraag het hierso? Okay. Ons sal dit net vir julle deurgee. Okay. Enige vrae? Zo voor. Daar zo.
Op watter stadium verduidelik jy aan die patiënt dat dit haar toestand is, dat sy dit ook of hy dit ook moet weet en hoe hanteer die mens dit?
Okay, so gou as moontlik, so vroeg as moontlik. Asseblief mense, moenie die goed wegsteek vir die persoon met demensie nie. Hoe gouer die persoon bewus raak daarvan, hoe gouer kan hulle werk maak van die proses en hoe gouer kan hulle self besluite begin neem en hulle self orde. Jy moet onthou, daar's baie goed wat gaan gebeur in die tydperk van demensie. Die gemiddelde leeftydperk van 'n persoon met demensie is ongeveer 10 jaar. Dit kan gaan tot 20 jaar, daar is opgetekende gevalle daarvan, maar dit is 10 jaar. En demensie begin baie stadig, soos 'n vliegtuig wat opstyg. Aanloop is stadig, maar as hy wiele opgetel het, dan gaan dit vinnig. So die eerste 5, 6 jaar, 7 jaar, kan dit amper nie eers opgetel word nie. Mens sien dit baie keer nie eers nie. En dan skielik, dan kom ons agter maar hier's fout. Die melk word in die stoof geberre en. Dan is dit alreeds in 'n gevorderde stadium. So hoe gouer, hoe beter. Ons het maar geleer, die beste manier is, as jy agterkom of daar's fout met iemand, kry hulle by 'n spesialis, sodat die diagnose gedoen kan word, en laat daai psigiater of die persoon wat die diagnose doen, die boodskap oordra. Dit is baie belangrik. Wat hulle dit doen, want dis die professionele persoon met wie jy werk. Die grootste fout wat mense maak is om die goed weg te steek. En Dr. Mariette het gepraat van, jy praat agter iemand anders se rug. Jy's kinder van hulle. Jy maak nog meer skade, as wat daar alreeds is. So moet asseblief nie die goed vir hulle wegsteek, so gou as moontlik. En ja, dit is soos om vir iemand te sê, jy het 'n bloeddrukprobleem. Identifiseer hom.
Can I just say one thing? Once you've told them and so on, don't keep reminding them about it. Okay? Because that's bringing in those negative thoughts that we say they've got to keep away from. So once you've told them, let it rest there, finish and class. And then when it gets to the stage where they've declined, then maybe there could be another discussion with the family and so on, and the mom and dad, whoever it is. But don't keep saying, maar jy weet mos jy het demensie. Jy weet mos. Jy weet mos as iets met jou verkeerd. Please don't talk to them like that.
Ja, dit is belangrik om hulle in te lig en maak hulle deel van die besluitneming. Dis nie nodig om hulle heeltyd te herinner dat hulle demensie het nie. Maar jy moet vir hulle sê, hoorie, so ons moet op 'n stadium by die bank uitkom. Want hy tekenmagte moet oorgedra word. Dis tyd laat ons bietjie, want dit is maar ongelukkig so in die meeste huishoudings, in die meeste, ek sê nie almal nie, is dit mos maar die man wat die kar se sleutels het. En dis mos die man wat die kluis se sleutels het, waar die testament ingeberre is en. Daar moet op 'n stadium, onthou, daar vind 'n rolomkering plaas. Een van die ander kant toe. Die man moet die vrou begin raak, of die vrou moet die man begin raak. Want jou rol verander. Jy begin die versorger raak. Jy moet vir daai persoon wat siek is, moet jy begin dink en begin redeneer. So jy moet sorg dat jy op hoogte is van alles. Dis baie sleg. Dis baie sleg as iemand in 'n gevorderde stadium van demensie is en hulle beland in 'n versorgingsfasiliteit. En nou moet jy 'n handtekening kry, want onthou die bank wil mos elke 3 jaar wil hulle mos die goed Rika en Fika en ek weet nie wat alles. Nou moet jy 'n handtekening kry. Daai persoon kan nie meer 'n handtekening maak nie. Wat gaan jy dan doen? Geld is geëis in die bank. Weet julle wat se ure en ure se drama is dit om by van die banke 'n rekening oorgedra te kry na 'n ander naam toe. So hoe gouer hierdie goed gebeur en jy kan saam met die persoon deur die proses stap, dan is daar 'n beter manier van ervaring. Aanvaarding en ervaring ook.
I've got a question from Facebook. They say studies show that pet therapy and animal assistance therapy offer significant value for people living with dementia. Is this something that you might consider in a local aged care facility?
Yes, I agree with him. That's very good. Pet therapy is good, but you must look at the practical side of everything. Ek kan byvoorbeeld net noem dat daar's op 'n stadium gesê 'n perd is die mens se beste vriend. En perde kan jy baie goeie terapie mee doen. Nou vra ek net, as jy gaan kyk in enige aftreeoord of in siekeboegfasiliteit, waar is daar plek vir 'n perd? So, dit moet prakties wees. Maar ja, dis baie goed. Ons het baie dikwels honde gekry, mense wat hondegeleiers is. Ou mense hou maar daarvan om bietjie die hondjie te pet, maar daar's mense wat nie hou van troeteldiere. So, poetsek, skopioen, jy pad. Hond spring teen 'n ouer mens se bene op. Sit die krapmerk, dit vat jou 3 jaar om daai gewond te genees. So, maar baie goed, dit is goeie werk.
What happened with Dad as well is my dad had a little Jack Russell. Jackie was its name. And he asked if I could bring Jackie into the frail care, and I got permission to do that. And then one of the nurses went and complained because she was of another religion, and in their religion you are not allowed to bring an animal into the house. So there's logistics that are involved with the animal care in certain centres. Well, we couldn't let Jackie go anymore.
Ekskuus, by die risiko punte was daar slaaploosheid, wat ek dink ons almal mee. En die ander een is gehoorverlies. So ek voel amper met slaap kan 'n mens nog sekere dinge probeer en doen, maar met gehoorverlies, want jy wil dit mos nou graag uitskakel. Hoe gaan jy met dit te werk?
Ja, mense kry deesdae baie goeie gehoorapparate. Die goed ongelukkig.
Dis wat ek wou weet. So 'n gewone apparaatjie, so dis nie iets in jou liggaam deur iets anders te doen of.
Ja, jy kan breinoefeninge doen wat spesifiek gefokus is, en sy kan vir jou meer daarvan sê, maar jy kan breinoefeninge doen om jou ore weer meer gefokus te kry. Maar op 'n stadium, onthou wanneer kom jy agter daar's gehoorverlies? As daar al reeds skade is. So dan moet die apparaatjie maar bykom en help. Maar jy kan gehooroefeninge doen.
Ek het gehoor nou van die gehoorverlies en die slaaploosheid, maar die slaaploosheid is baie keer 'n baie groot probleem en 'n mens wil nie pille drink vir slaaploosheid nie. So dan bly dit 'n probleem.
Daar is definitiewe oefeninge wat jy kan doen. Mense wat mediteer, ek onthou verskillende goed werk vir verskillende mense. Jy moet iets kry wat vir jou werk, wat vir jou gaan help. Jy moet daai ding wat vir jou wakker maak, moet jy gaan identifiseer. En ek gaan nou maar net 'n voorbeeld noem. As dit finansies is wat jou pla, dan gaan jy moet anders te dink oor jou finansies. Want baie keer is slaaploosheid het te doen met stres, inspanning en goed in jou normale daaglikse lewe. So hanteer dit, dink anders oor die goed en dit kan jou help. Andersins moet jy gaan na 'n tipe van 'n meditasie toe. Mens kry baie goed op die AI Google, wat noem dit wat 'n mens wil, wat noem hulle dit, mantras wat jy kan opsê. Kan jy, ek weet nie of jy kan onthou toe jy jonk was, het jy mamma gesê, as jy nie kan slaap, jy tel skape. Wat is dit anderster as 'n mantra om jou gedagtes af te lei van dit waarmee jy besig is, om iets anders in plek daarvan te sit en dit raak in die slaap. Maar weet jy, werk vir my, en ek kan dit met julle deel, as ek met God praat, dan raak ek baie lekker aan die slaap.
Ek wil hê julle moet hierdie oefening gou doen. Okay? Just relax your whole body. Now, this is you lying in bed, so we're not going to lie down, obviously. You're lying in bed. You take either, you relax your whole body, you lie with your arms next to you, your head's on the pillow, your eyes are closed. You're breathing slowly. 4, 7, 5, 6, 7. You hold it for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You release it for 7. You do that 4 times. You be sleep. All right. Normally what happens is when we can't sleep, we get anxious. So our body rate goes up, our heart's pumping faster, the oxygen's moving too much. Now we're just settling everything. Okay. But you must be lying down, just relax, and just do that breathing. If 7 is too long, start with 5, or 3, and then 5, and then 7. And it really, it helps. Okay.
I'd like to ask about games on the phone. And I mean, I think it's quite a general addiction of most people nowadays. How do you think, would you rather encourage people to play games on their phone than not play games at all? How do you negotiate that?
The phones are too dangerous. They really just are too dangerous. And I know a lot of therapists are saying, rather let them play on the phone than not. I would say rather simplify stuff, find things that they're really interested in doing, and then use those games. But the phone must be your last solution. Because all it really do, they don't care about you watching the things. They just care about the many likes they're getting, the many people that are linking to their systems. They don't care a heck if it really works for you or not. So you try and find something that they enjoy doing. We bought a few just to show you. If you look at the
Just to add to your question and to Mariette. Onthou net, as jy met 'n selfoon sit en jy speel 'n speletjie daarop, wat werk? Jy dink dalk en jou een vinger werk. Maar as jy 'n speletjie het waar jy goed bou, puzzles bou, mechanos bou, wat jy met klei vorms maak, wat werk? Jou brein werk, jou hande werk, jy het gevoel. Onthou, dis lekker, touch therapy. Dis wonderlik as om aan iets te vat wat lekker is. Dis hoekom ons kry baie voorskote wat mense maak met verskillende teksture. En ou mense sit maar en voel van die goeters. Hoekom raak 'n ouer persoon, en ek praat van enige ou mens, nie, jy het nie eens nodig om demensie te hê nie. Hoekom raak jy fidgety met jou hande? Want jy sit, handjies gevou, voetjies gevou, hou handjies vas, wat begin? Nou begin jy peter. Sit die hand hier in die sak, en nou, net nou, ek sê nou vir julle, is daar 'n gat in die sak. Kom kyk hoe lyk ons stoele, ons oorgetrekte meubels in ons fasiliteit. Hoeveel gate is daar in daai armlenings ingerou? Van verveling. Telefoon maak jy verveeld. Dis baie beter om solitaire saam met iemand te speel as alleen op jou foon te speel. Want jy isoleer jouself. Daar's nie socialization nie, jy vat nie aan iets nie, jy het nie die tekstuur nie, jy doen nie daai oog-hand-koördinasie beweging nie. So dit is net negatief. Daar's baie min positief in ons selfoon speletjies.
Okay, ja, sorry. Is lekker vir my om dit te doen. Ek speel, ek hou daarvan. O, kyk hierdie mooi klere. O, kyk hierdie patroon wat ek moet doen. Finger movement and everything else is there. The whole brain is involved. It is not so when you do it on your cell phones. You are mesmerized in being addicted to the screen. Not a good effect on the brain.
Ek weet nie wie van julle het daai navorsing gelees oor kinderopvoeding, wat hulle sê, hoekom gooi kinders deesdae of vandag se kinders so maklik tantrums en hoekom kry hulle so baie gedragsprobleme op 'n baie jong ouderdom. Dis oor hierdie selfone. Want daai ding leer jou nie meer konflik hanteer en konflik oplos nie. Want wat gebeur, die oomblik as jy in 'n konflik of in 'n situasie kom wat jy 'n probleem moet oplos, en jy kry hom nie opgelos nie, wat doen jy? Jy sluit. Jy gaan aan die volgende ding aan. Maar as jy werklik met 'n probleem sit, jy moet 'n kraan se wassertjie vervang. Dan gaan soek jy daai gereedskap. Jy maak die ding los. Jy gaan draai die water af. Dis 'n klomp goed wat jy moet doen. Versus sluit maar net weg. Ons raak so ontslaaf van ons probleme in die lewe. So ons kinders word nie meer geleer om konflik te hanteer nie. En weet jy, as jy 'n ouer mens is en jy raak geïsoleerd en jy sit alleen in jou sitkamer in jou woonstelletjie of jou aftreehuis, hoe hanteer jy jou konflik? Hoe hanteer jy dit? Hoe hanteer jy probleemoplossing? Jy doen net nie meer die probleem nie. Jy hardloop weg van hom af. Jy vermy die probleem.
Swipe it away.
Swipe hom weg. Dis mos wat ons doen.
I'm going to ask you a question. If your latter years are meant to be better than your former years, is that so? And if it's not, why? Because if it's in the Bible, it's true. Your latter years, dis hierdie jare wat ons nou in is, will be better than your former years. Werk op het. Nobody can do it for you. It's between you and God. We can teach you principalities. We can teach you principles. We can teach you, give you information, how to do things. But at the end of the day, the Lord said, your latter years will be better than your former years. I ask you the question, is that so? And if it's not so, what are you doing about it? We're in an end time of an age crisis. We could get up tomorrow morning and the days are completely different to what we know. What will you be standing on? The former years that are gone that mean nothing, that's a past? Or in my latter years where my relationship with God is right? Choice is yours. We are giving you information. You have to take the information and turn it into knowledge. Knowledge is the understanding of the information. From that, you have to turn it into wisdom. Where does wisdom come from? Where did King Solomon get the wisdom at 12 years old to rule a country? We're not 12, we're 70, 80, 90, 100. But it's the same wisdom. That has not shifted. Are you operating in your latter years?
Ja, ek het 'n vraag. Dit gaan oor ons saligheid. As 'n persoon op so 'n stadium is, as hy nou baie krities word, en die persoon het nie meer beheer oor homself nie, wanneer hy begin sweer, wanneer hy nie begin alles nie meer reg is hierbo nie, en hulle is nie meer die mens wat hulle is nie. Dra hulle die verantwoordelikheid vir hulle dade wat hulle doen, of word dit hulle toegereken?
Jy weet, dis 'n baie goeie vraag en ek het dit baie al vir goed gevra. What happens in situations like that? The past is the past. When they're so deep in the situation that they're in, that past is the past. We can't do anything about that. We don't know how to handle that. We weren't even, in most cases, part of that past that happened to them. But we can pray. And we can lay hands. And we can bring them into group counseling. Because the rest is out of our hands, but it's not out of God's hands. Because He holds us in the palm of His hands 24/7. But we, as the outsider looking in on the person, have to learn how to release the situation back into the palms of Jesus' hands on their behalf. So it's prayer, it's counseling. And not counseling from just anybody, counseling from your pastor, counseling from the team leadership in your church. Does that kind of answer it?
Kan ek dalk net iets daarby voeg? Ons sê gewoonlik kinders, klein kindertjies, die woord van die Here sê vir ons, aan hulle behoort die koninkryk van God. So van watter oomblik af, behoort die koninkryk van God nie meer aan 'n kind nie. Dis van die oomblik van sondebewustheid. Wanneer jy sondebewustheid het. So van daai oomblik af kan 'n kind tot bekering kom en hulle lewe verander en vergifnis vra en 'n kind van God word. Wanneer 'n mens, ongeag of dit nou demensie is of een of ander siekte is, wat lei daartoe dat die bewustheid van wat hulle doen nie meer daar is nie. Daai persoon is soos 'n kind wat nie sondebewustheid het nie. Daar's nie 'n toerekeningsvatbaarheid nie. So as 'n mens dan as gevolg van demensie, watter siekte ook al demensie, hoe hy homself uitdruk, maar as 'n mens dan op 'n plek kom waar hy begin om, kom ons sê hy begin vloek, begin snaakse goeders doen, die vraag is toerekeningsvatbaarheid. In hoe mate is hierdie persoon, het hierdie persoon wat dan nou hierdie goeders doen of sê 'n bewustheid van dit is sonde. Dis die vraag. En dis nie 'n vraag wat ek en jy kan antwoord nie. Dis 'n vraag tussen God en die mens. Want God weet wie ons is en wat ons is en hoe ons denke werk, wat ons verstaan, wat ons nie verstaan nie. So sou daai persoon vloek, sou 'n persoon dan nou snaakse goed aanvang. God weet. En kyk hierso, ons Vader is 'n liefdevolle God. Hy's nie vindictief nie. Hy sal nie sê, o, jy het nou 'n lelike woord gebruik, dan gaan jy nie. Hy's 'n God wat ons diepste wese verstaan as mens. So, as ek iets doen en daar's 'n sondebewustheid, en sondebewustheid kom van die inspraak van die Heilige Gees in my lewe, wat hy doen, wanneer ek kan verstaan dat iets sondig is. Praat nie van 'n kind wat verstaan hy stout nie. Selfs die mens wat vloek kan ook verstaan, o, ek het seker nou iets gedoen wat nie reg is nie. Maar dis die sondebewustheid waarmee ons deel. So 'n volwassene kan dalk glad nie 'n bewustheid hê dat dit wat ek nou doen is of onvanpas nie, want ek bedoel as hulle dan nou uithak, hulle is nie bewus van, hulle weet nie dis sosiaal nie aanvaarbaar nie. Hulle weet nie dis verkeerd nie. So daar kan ook nie dan 'n sondebewustheid wees nie. So hy kan 'n kind van God wees, en hy bly 'n kind van God, sy bly 'n kind van God. En dis 'n saak op die einde van die dag, die wete van ek het sonde in my lewe of nie sonde in my lewe, kom van die inspraak van Heilige Gees. Maar Heilige Gees wat in die persoon woon, weet presies wat hier aangaan en hoe die brein werk en hoe hy funksioneer en wat is hoe toerekensvatbare is 'n mens. So jy kan nie wegkom met verskonings nie, want God weet. Ja, nee, dit was, ja, ja, no, that's for sure, Ons is daar om mekaar te help, en mekaar by te staan binne in dit.
Pastoor, kan ek dit 'n praktiese situasie met u deel? Ek het 'n tannie by my gehad, sy is nou lankal oorlede. Sy was 'n wonderlike goeie mens. Sy het Namibië uitgekom, boervrou. Sy het geweet van vleisbraai en van daai dinge. Sy het dit geken. Nou wil ek vir u vra, wie kan vir my sê, wat is 'n aardwortel? Weet julle hoe lyk 'n aardwortel? Nee, julle weet nie. 'n Aardwortel is 'n piesang. Want dit was haar beskrywing van 'n piesang. Want demensie het veroorsaak dat haar woorde het deurmekaar geraak. En sy het begin lelik praat. Maar in haar wese het sy nie verander nie. Weet jy, toe daai tannie, sy was 16 jaar wat sy demensie gehad het. Sy was 12 jaar by ons. Weet jy, toe sy net nie lank voor sy oorlede is nie. Sy kon nie meer praat nie. Sy het maar net gesit. Die ou gams geëet. En toe kom die kerk en hulle kom doen 'n kerssangdiens vir ons. En toe stille nag gesing word. Toe loop die trane oor die tannie se wange. Toe vra ek vir, hoe's dit tannie? Toe sê sy vir my, ons het so baie om voor dankbaar te wees. Nou waar kom hy taal vandaan? Dis 'n geestelike vlak wat ons nie van weet nie. Wat nog steeds by haar teenwoordig was, al kon sy nie meer praat nie. Sy kon niks meer doen nie. Sy kon nie meer eet nie. Sy het doeke gedra, maar sy kon sê, ons het so baie om voor dankbaar te wees. Het 'n ander vrou gehad. Sy was 'n matrone. En die kende matrone, is moeilike tannies. Deure moet toegemaak word, gordyne moet toe, mag die wind inkom nie, trek, bekleierig. Sy was ook op haar laaste. Sy kon ook nie meer vir haarself niks doen nie. Toe 'n persoon by ons kom optree, toe sing hy die lied Pi Jesu. En daai vrou het opgestaan in die stoel. En sy het saam gesing Pi Jesu. Waar kom dit vandaan? Ek stem saam met pastoor, asseblief, praat nie met my beerd uit nie. Dis God se terrein. Ons weet nie wat aangaan nie. Maar ons moet onsself nie kastei om oor ander mense te worry nie. Hoekom wil jy die las dra om te wonder of my ma of my vrou of my pa se verhouding met God reg is wanneer daai persoon demensie het. Dis nie ons terrein nie. Leef jy jou lewe, sorg dat jou saak met God reg is. God sal sy saak met daai persoon wat demensie het self regmaak. En dis hoe ek glo, en dit is wat ek sien dit gebeur in ons fasiliteite.
Ek wil net 'n vraagie vra. Die hantering van demensie is 'n baie emosionele ding vir mense. Jy weet wanneer 'n mens 40 jaar getroud is, dat mense 50 jaar getroud is, en skielik kan jou man nie meer onthou jy is sy vrou nie. En omgekeerd ook. En baie keer het ons te doen as kinders met ouers wat nie meer kan onthou jy is my kind nie. Of hulle weet nie as hulle het kinders nie. Hulle weet nie as hulle is getroud nie. So dis 'n geweldige emosionele ding vir die familie om hierdie situasie te kan hanteer. En wanneer daai persoon in hulle eie wêreld is, besig met hulle eie, hulle is in hulle eie wêreld. Dis baie moeilik vir 'n mens wat nie daar is nie om daai wêreld te betree, om te probeer dink soos hulle dink, want ons is ons nou maar logies en uitgeredeneerd, ons verstaan 1 en 1 is 2. Hulle, 1 en 1 is 400,000. Dis net nie vir ons, maak nie vir ons sin nie. So, die familie moet baie keer deel, baie groter emosioneel deel met die situasie, as die persoon met demensie self. As ek nie meer kan onthou nie, dan kan ek nie meer onthou nie. En as ek nie kan onthou nie, dan maak dit nie meer saak nie. Maar jy wat nog by jou positiewe is, vir jou maak dit saak. En dis belangrik dat ons leer hoe om dit te hanteer. Daai spesifieke gedeelte van hierdie emosionele ding waarmee ek nou moet deel en ons as kinders mee moet deel. My kleinkinders moet daarmee deel. Almal van hulle wat daarbey betrokke is, moet daarmee deel.
Pastoor, my antwoord op daai is moeilik, maar is eenvoudig. Ons moet op om ander mense se bagasie te dra in die eerste plek. So dis my uitgangspunt. En wanneer die familie by daai punt kom wat hulle hierdie bagasie moet dra, het ek net vir hulle een oplossing. Kennis is mag. As jy kennis het, dan kry jy insig in die situasie en dan gaan jy weet hoe om te hanteer. Kom ons wees eerlik. Dis omdat ons hierdie siekte wegsteek. Ons steek vir ouma en vir oupa of vir my man of my vrou weg, want hulle begin ons so simpel goeders doen. Gebruik die tuin as die toilet, loop verkeerde plekke rond, loop weg, sê verkeerde goed, praat verkeerde goed, ons steek dit weg. So ek dra daai emosionele las met my saam. Ons moet praat oor hierdie goed. Ons moet uiting gee daaraan, ons moet gaan lees oor die goed, ons moet gaan professionele hulp kry en sê, help my, vertel my meer van die goeders, laat ek weet hoe om dit te hanteer. En ek is seker, as 'n mens jou voorberei en jy het kennis van die vak, dan gaan jy meer insig in die situasie en dit gaan veel makliker wees om te hanteer. Dis die een kant van die muntstuk. Die ander kant is, ons moet die humor in die goed sien. Want as ons heeltyd gaan met 'n swaar gemoed rondloop en bejammer, dis soos enige siekte. As iemand met kanker gediagnoseer word, wat is daai eerste reaksie? Die mens gaan mos deur skok. As jy die skok verwerk, dan kom aanvaarding, en wanneer aanvaarding daar is, dan begin jy hulp verleen. Nou met demensie is presies dieselfde. Die skok gaan daar wees. As jy dit verwerk het, en jy aanvaard dit, gaan die hulpverlening kom, en dan begin ons lag oor die goed. Dan begin ons lag vir ouma en oupa se simpelheid. En ons begin lag vir dit, en ons steek dit nie weg nie. En ons beredeneer die goed en ons praat oop en eerlik daaroor. En ons erken die goeders, dan raak dit soveel makliker om dit te verwerk op die einde van die dag. So, moenie dit wegsteek nie. Praat oor die goed. Deel met die situasie. Dan sal dit nie 'n probleem wees nie. Weet of jy nog iets wil byvoeg nie?
Ja, ek gaan net hierso net hierdie sê, dan gaan ek ook toemaak. In 2017 is when my husband passed of Alzheimer's. About 3 weeks before that, he was very quick. He had you get ones that are quite slow, and you get the others that are quite fast. And I was downstairs in the kitchen making our coffee like I do every morning and so on, and he came down from the stairs and he said to me, "Who are you and what are you doing in my house?" Okay, the first reaction is, "I'm your wife, stupid." That's the first reaction. But what I learned is, you just go into their moments. Sorry, that's all what I said, sorry. And I walked out, went upstairs, went and did my hair, came down, he'd forgotten the Elsjé. So, learn to just go into their moments where they don't know. They just don't know. It's like my dad. I told you about my dad with a Ferrari. Did I tell you about So my dad gives me his card. He says, "Please go buy some groceries and so on." So I go do my thing. I come back and he's as mad as he can be. "What have you done? You've bought a Ferrari on my credit card. 235 million rand has gone through my credit card. How dare you do that?" Just went into his memory. Said, "Daddy, I'll take it back." So I phoned my brother who's in Australia and said, "Guess what? I bought a Ferrari on Dad's credit card and it's gone missing." He says, "Don't worry, it's standing in my garage." Okay, fluit my stories uit.
Baie dankie.
Dankie. Ek wil dalk net 'n laaste dingetjie sê en dan maak ons klaar. In die proses waar ek met mense redelik gereeld deel wat iemand deur hierdie proses, weet, 'n geliefde man, vrou, baie keer ouers, daar's minder mense wat kinders het wat deur die proses gaan, is gewoonlik maar die ouers of 'n man of 'n vrou. Iets wat ek baie keer hoor is na die tyd en selfs nadat die persoon afgesterwe het, is dat die mense sit met skuldgevoelens hier binnekant oor die aanvanklike reaksie, soos wat jy nou gesê het, jou man kom af en met "I'm your wife", stupid. 'n mens wil soort van reageer op situasies. Moenie jouself kastei oor die goed wat jy in onkunde gedoen het nie. Dat jy vir jou man of jou vrou of jou ouers gesê het, "Ag, stop dit man, jy weet. Moet nou nie weer so wees nie." Baie keer na die tyd dan, wanneer ons aan die goeters dink, dan kom die skuldgevoelens. Dis maar dieselfde met wanneer ons iemand aan die dood afstaan. Sommige maar net gewoon, maak nie saak waarvan nie. Is daar altyd so 'n stukkie plek waar ons met skuldgevoelens moet deel? Hoekom het ek nie vroeër gesien nie? Hoekom het ek nie vroeër, kon ek nie iets anders gedoen het om die persoon te help nie? So, moenie jouself, as jy skuldgevoelens het, wees eerlik en opreg in jou eie hart daarmee, met God daarmee. As daar iets is wat jy voel jy oor vergifnis moet vra vergifnis. God gee vir jou vergifnis, maar moenie met jou verwyte en goeders bly loop nie, want dit gaan jou net verder siek maak en vir jou dit moeilik maak.